Okay, so welcome to week 3 of the course, and this week we're exploring gathering the scattered mind. So to begin with, for those who've been able to make it to the live session, we've been discussing the home practice. So if anything has come up for you around the pleasant experiences calendar or the practices, do reach out if you'd like to explore those in a little bit more detail. But we're going to be moving into a movement practice. So just setting yourself up in a standing position, you're going to need enough room to move your arms around, up and down. Okay, so you're going to need to have enough space for your arms to go up, down, around. So I'm just going to move this. I have to come to a different spot. Let's have a look. Can you see me there? You've missed the technical issues where I've got a new computer and I've set this up for the computer and it's not worked. Okay. All right, well, we'll have to go with that. So enough space for your arms to go up, round, down. That's all you'll need. Okay. So just to begin with, I'm going to invite you to bring your attention to your feet on the floor. So you can have your eyes open or closed throughout this practice, and you can experiment with that as well. Just taking a moment to arrive. Feel your feet on the floor. Just scanning your body, checking in with your posture, aligning your spine, checking for any points of tension, letting your shoulders drop, releasing any tension in your jaw, in your face. And just narrowing your attention to your breath. Following the flow of the breath. Remember, there's no right or wrong way of doing any of these practices. Breathing in and breathing out. And then expanding your awareness and having a sense of grounding, your connection with the earth. And within this movement practice, I want you to be very careful in taking care of yourself and your needs. Remembering that my guidance is simply that, it's a guidance. You don't need to follow my instructions if they are not right for you. You need to listen to your body and its messages as we explore our boundaries, our edges, and our limits. Within the practices, we can spot our habits and our tendencies. So to begin with, I invite you to move your weight into the front of your feet. So as if you're kind of leaning forward slightly onto the balls of your feet. And exploring the sensations that you notice here. You might be noticing that your toes scrunch up to hold you in place. How far can you go before you lose your balance? Do you push yourself too far and topple? Or are you too cautious and don't push yourself enough? And then bringing yourself back to a standing posture, that neutral position. And just resting in the felt sensation of having made that movement. And an invitation to check in with the breath. Are you still breathing? And now I invite you to bring your weight into your heels. So in this instance, you're sort of leaning back slightly. You might notice that your toes lift up, that you wobble, that your body knows how to adjust. How far do you go? Do you push yourself too much or not enough? Taking care of your lower back, taking care of your body, listening to it. And then if you haven't already, returning yourself to a neutral position and resting in the felt sensation of having made those movements. What can you notice? What's present? Now I invite you to move your weight into your left foot. If you can, gently lifting your right foot off the floor. Noticing how your body adjusts to the weight. Do you topple? Do you hold on to something nearby? Taking care of yourself, listening to what your body needs, and noticing if you push yourself beyond your boundaries and your edges. And then returning your right foot to the floor. And resting in the felt sensation of that movement. Now within the movement practice, if any of the exercises are beyond your range, picture them. Picture making the movements. This in itself rewires our neural pathways. It's a big part of rehabilitation. It's by physiotherapists now. So now I invite you to repeat the movement on the other side. So bringing your weight into your right foot and lifting your left foot off the floor if you can. Again, noticing how your body compensates and moves and wobbles and does everything it can to keep you upright. Or maybe you've got a stable and steady balance here. And then returning your left foot to the ground. And resting in the felt sensation of that movement. Remembering that this is about exploring our edges and our limits, learning to listen to the messages that our body sends us, grounding in the present moment, and using the body as an anchor. And in this exercise, we're expanding on the work that you've been doing within the everyday mindfulness practice. Being aware of the movements that your body knows how to do automatically, slowing them down. So now I invite you to bring your arms away from your side. Bringing them up to shoulder height. Slowly and carefully. And we're just resting here. Checking that your shoulders aren't up by your ears. Checking in with the breath. Ensuring that your knees aren't locked. Doing what you can to support your body. If you had your eyes closed, I invite you to explore having them open, and vice versa. Bringing your attention to the sensations that you might be noticing in your arms at this moment. What are the sensations and where exactly are they? Pleasant or unpleasant? Neutral? And then slowly bringing your arms back down to your side if you haven't done so already. And resting in the felt sensation of having made that movement. How do your arms feel now? Fingertips, palms of your hands, the backs of your hand, your wrists, your lower arms, your upper arms. And now I invite you to slowly lift your right hand away from your side and bring it up towards the sky as if you were going to pick an apple off a tree. You're leaning slightly to the right, noticing what happens to your feet. Reaching as far as you can go. Being kind and curious with your body and listening to its edges and its limits. Are you pushing yourself too much? Are you not pushing yourself enough? How far can you go before it's too much? And just checking in with the breath. And then slowly returning to a neutral standing position. And resting in the felt sensation of having made that movement. Having moved your right arm perhaps noticing the anticipation, what's next. And now an invitation to move your left hand away from your body slowly and up as if you were reaching for an apple from a tree. And again, exploring your edges and your boundaries, your limits. Do you go into competition with yourself? Are you too cautious? Do you criticize yourself when you can't do things as well as you'd like? Do you congratulate yourself when things go well within the movements? And then gently and slowly returning your hand back to the side of your body and resting in the felt sensation of having made that movement. And now I'm going to invite you to gently unlock your knees if they've locked. Bring your chin to your chest And slowly lower your body, reaching towards your toes. Vertebrae by vertebrae. Listening to your body and going as far as today allows. And then slowly and gradually making your way up to a standing position. And then resting in the felt sensation of having made those movements. Now I invite you to bring your left hand away from your side and up above your head. And then bending at the elbow, bringing the arm down your back. And then bringing the other arm over, your left arm over, to gently support your left arm stretching. Again, listening to your body and pushing into the stretches only as far as feels right for you. And then slowly bringing your arms back down your side. Checking in with your body, your feet on the floor, your knees aren't locked. You're still breathing. We have a tendency to hold our breath when we make some movements. Checking that your jaw isn't clenched, your eyes aren't scrunched. Now repeating on the other side, so lifting that right arm away from the body. Bringing it up above your head, folding at the elbow, bringing it behind the back of your neck, and perhaps using the right arm to support a gentle stretch. Taking care of yourself and your needs within these practices. Remembering to follow my guidance only if it feels right for you. This is really important. And every time your mind wanders, Gently returning it again and again back to the practice and the felt sensations that you're experiencing as we make these gentle movements. And then slowly bringing your arms back down to your sides. Now bringing your left ear towards your left shoulder. Bringing up to a neutral position. Perhaps noticing the expectation of equilibrium, how we're looking forward to doing it on the other side, or maybe not looking forward to it at all. But this anticipation and expectation of what's coming next. How our mind fills in the gaps and has expectations. And now an invitation to drop the chin to the chest. And perhaps, but maybe not, noticing a gentle stretch down your spine. And then returning your head to a neutral position. Checking in with the breath. Checking in that you're not tightening, your shoulders aren't up by your ears. That you're taking care of your body and your needs. This is your time. And then an invitation to bring your right ear down to your right shoulder. And then returning your head to a neutral position. Resting in the felt sensation of having made those movements. Now I want you to take some time to make some movements that your body is asking you to make. Some stretches and movements that will support your body in this moment. Slowing down the movements, dropping into the felt sensation of moving your body and your muscles, your tendons and ligaments. There's no right or wrong way of doing this practice. We're learning to listen to the messages that our body sends us, pay attention, and take care of ourselves. And then gently and slowly bringing yourself back down to a sitting position. Or lying down, whatever your body is calling you towards today in this moment. And just taking the time to settle into your body. Feeling the points of contact that your body is making with the earth. Checking in with your posture in this moment. And then narrowing your attention back to your breath. Simply breathing in and breathing out. The New Story of Your Life by Michael Blumenthal. Say you finally invented a new story of your life. It is not the story of your defeat or of your impotence and powerlessness before the large forces of wind and accident. It's not the sad story of your mother's death or of your abandoned childhood. It is not even a story that will win you the deep initial sympathies of the benevolent goddesses or the care of the generous. But it is a story that requires of you a large thrust into the difficult life, a sense of plenitude, entirely your own. Whatever the story is, it goes as it goes, and there are vicissitudes in it. Gardens that need to be planted, skills sown, the long, hard labours of prose and enduring love. Deep down in some long, encumbered self, it is the story you have been writing all of your life, where no calypso holds you against your willfulness, where you can rise from the bleak island of your story and tread your way home. You're just moving and stretching in whatever way your body's calling you today to do right now. And we're going to move into a sharing space. So for those of you practicing at home, an invitation to pause and journal and reflect on your experience of having made those gentle movements. Did you take care of yourself? Did you push yourself too much, too little? So as best you can, being with your direct experience of the practice. So I'm going to pause the recording now. Okay, so we've had some interesting discussions about yoga classes. If you've been competitive in yoga classes, then you're in good company. Okay, so we're just going to move into this week's topic, which is gathering the scattered mind. So we've been exploring the body scan for 2 weeks, which is where we've been really honing in on our bodies and learning to widen and narrow our attention. Within the movement practices, we're almost expanding on the everyday mindfulness tasks that we've been doing, of really dropping into our bodies and the movements that they make and the compensations that we know how to do when we're balancing, and that exploration of our boundaries and our limits that will often show how we treat ourselves is how we behave outside of the practices. So perhaps where we may agree to do things that we don't necessarily have the time or the space to do, but to like our own boundaries, of not listening in and checking in on what our limits are, what we have the time for, what we have the space for. So our bodies can send us these messages constantly if we can just check in with them every now and again. And this is what we're learning. So in relation to the scattered mind, the mind is often scattered and lost in thought because it is working away in the background to complete unfinished tasks from the past and striving towards goals for the future. We need to find a reliable way intentionally to come back to the here and now. The breath and body offer an ever-present focus on which we can reconnect with mindful presence, gather and settle the mind, and ease into ourselves from doing into being. So focusing on the breath brings you back to this very moment. It's always available as an anchor and a haven, no matter where you are, and can actually change your experience by connecting you with a wider space and broader perspective from which to view things. When we bring our attention to the breath, we activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which naturally releases the hormones to soothe us. So that's the side effect of it, of bringing our attention to the breath, which is what we're going to be exploring now. So this week I'm going to introduce part of the home practice with 3-minute breathing space. So this is another way of stepping out of automatic pilot. So again, building on the everyday mindfulness that you've been exploring, we stop, we pause, and we bring our attention to the breath. So to begin with, we've got a wider awareness of the thoughts and feelings and body sensations. So we kind of check in with ourselves as a whole. What's going on? Where am I? Where are the sensations? Then we gather our attention to the breath, breathing in and breathing out. And then we expand again to include the body. So it's kind of like an hourglass process. So we're widening, narrowing, and coming out again. We'll have a go at this at the end as a closing practice. Just to explain it a little bit more. So this is a simple and short meditation technique to bring expanded awareness to the moments of your day. And the idea is to spend 1 minute on each step. So step 1, becoming aware, bringing awareness to your inner experience. Ask yourself what your experience is right now. Thoughts, feelings, and body sensations. 2, then we're gathering our attention. So redirecting your attention to focus on the physical sensations of breathing itself. Follow the breath all the way in and all the way out. And then expanding from the breath to the field of awareness around the breath. So that includes a sense of the body as a whole, your posture and facial expressions. So we're becoming aware, we're gathering our attention, and then we're widening our focus, expanding out again. So this is going to be forming a part of your home practice, including as well the mindful movement, a 10-minute practice, picking another everyday mindfulness. This may be getting to be a bit more difficult to search for something. So finding something else. So if you're done brushing your teeth, maybe a mindful cup of tea, or mindfully tying your shoelaces, or putting moisturizer on. That's a nice one. Or washing your face, something that you, again, you're doing every day, but it may be more difficult. You might be searching more for things now. So if you do want some ideas, just get in touch. The 3-minute breathing space 3 times a day. So finding 3 points within your day to do this regularly. The more regularly that you can do this, the more available it will be to you in the future at times when you aren't maybe feeling as calm. So there's a motivation to be doing that. So perhaps setting an alarm, or maybe having it with meals if you eat 3 meals a day, or in the morning when you get up, a pause in the afternoon, and then one time before bed. So as best you can, having a regular point in the day to do that. And then the unpleasant experiences calendar. So in the same way that you explored the pleasant experiences calendar, I'm going to get you to have a look at an unpleasant experience. Again, it doesn't have to be every day. It could be just once. You could be doing it on Sunday night. So being aware of an unpleasant experience at the time that it's happening, and using the questions to focus your awareness on the details of it as it's happening. Write it down later using the prompts below, and you may prefer to use your own notebook. So maybe something within a week and you're driving along, somebody cuts you up, then you go, oh, that's a good one for my unpleasant experiences calendar. So narrowing your attention, what the experience is and where you feel it in your body. So in that moment, having a think about the body sensations that you're noticing, the moods and feelings that accompany the event, the thoughts that are accompanying the event, and what thoughts are in your mind as you write it down. So I'm using one for me, which I do a little less frequently than I used to, but it's still something I happen to do if I change my purse. So couldn't find a cash card to pay for the shopping. Heart racing, lump in throat, sweaty, shaky hands. Embarrassed, there's a queue of people behind you. Anxious, worried about the card. Scared that somebody's robbed money from the account. Accompanying thoughts, I'm an idiot, people are annoyed with me for holding them up, I'm angry with myself, and I'm worried I've been robbed. And then reliving that thought, relieved, I found it feels similar physically as we're reliving it. I'm a bit of an idiot for having done that. But I suppose in those circumstances, an overwhelming relief actually that I didn't lose the card. It's a generally pattern that I repeat. So that relief, and that an unpleasant experience can have those undertones of pleasure attached to them, that that's over now. I'm not in that moment. In the same way that when we were exploring the pleasant experiences at the end, we might have that, oh, it's a shame that I don't have that experience anymore. So noticing the kind of the facets of our experiences. We want to cling to the pleasant and push away the unpleasant. And the idea that we're exploring with these exercises and with these meditations is that there's room for it all, that all these experiences make up our days. And the beauty of the breathing spaces is that they bring us into the present moment regularly within our day. So it becomes more of a habit within the kind of the average days, the average of our experiences. So let's have a go closing with a breathing space. So just taking a moment, you can have your eyes open or closed, it doesn't matter what position we're in for this. Just taking a moment to bring your attention to your body, what you're experiencing in this moment, thoughts, feelings, and sensations that you notice. So this is drawing on the work that you've been doing in the body scan as well, this perhaps shining a spotlight around your body of just checking in with yourself, what's going on, shapes, colours, textures, movements, moving away from the story and being with your direct experience. And now I invite you to narrow your attention to your breath, simply following the flow of your breath as you breathe in and you breathe out. Pauses between the in-breath and the out-breath. Anchoring in the present moment with the breath. And now expanding your awareness to include all of your body. you breathing in this moment. It's a contact that you're making with the earth, the space above you, beneath you, and beside you. I'm going to close the practice with the poem that's included in the handouts. Grace. Grace gives me a day too beautiful I had thought to stay indoors. And yet, washing my dishes, straightening my shelves, finally throwing out the wilted onions, shrunken garlic cloves, I discover I am happy to be inside looking out. This, I think, is wealth. Just this choosing of how a beautiful day is spent. Alice Walker. So as best you can, taking the sense of connection and awareness into whatever you have left to do with your day. And of course, if you've got any questions or queries about the home practice, you know where I am. So thank you for joining me.